Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Rising a Bodhisattva. It's a great honor to be here with you today. I'm Nancy, the founder of International Buddha Dharma Society for Cosmic Law in America. Today, we will continue our Chan talk. We will talk about how Patriarch Bodhidharma brought Chan Dharma to China from India. Last time, we talked about how Chan Dharma started. The Buddha held up the bright and wonderful lotus flower in the great assembly, and Mahakashyapa silently broke into a smile. Chan Dharma was demonstrated and started just in that short and subtle moment. At that moment, Kashyapa's heart resonated with the heart of the Buddha. Free, unattached, egoless, and in a state of wonderfulness. Mahakashyapa was the first patriarch of Chan Dharma, from one generation to another, and after about 2,000 years, the 27th patriarch was Prajnatara. How did the Chan Dharma was transmitted to Bodhidharma, the 28th patriarch in India? Bodhidharma was born in South India, and he was the third son of Xiangzhi king. He was the one chosen to be the king after his father. One day, the king was possessed by one of his karmic creditors, who wanted the king to die. At that time, the 27th patriarch came and expounded Dharma to the king's karmic creditor and all the people there. The king's karmic creditor understood and left the king's body, and the king was saved. The king was very grateful and offered Patriarch Prajnatara a priceless pearl. Patriarch Prajnatara took a look at the pearl and asked Bodhidharma and his two older brothers, "May I ask you, Your Highness, is there anything more valuable than this pearl in this world?" The first and the second princes answered, "The pearl can light up everything in this world, and no other treasure is comparable with it. Only Master has the virtue to possess this valuable pearl." The third prince, Bodhidharma, answered, "The light of the pearl can only illuminate externally, not internally, so I think the light of wisdom is the most precious. The light of wisdom enables you to be intelligent, and intelligent enough to differentiate right from wrong." Patriarch Prajnatara then asked Bodhidharma, "Which thing is formless in this world?" "Everything is formless if you don't think of its form." "Which thing is the highest in this world?" "Human being is the highest." "Which thing is the greatest in this world?" "The Dharma nature is the greatest." Patriarch Prajnatara nodded and did not say a word. After Patriarch Prajnatara left, Bodhidharma saw a sent bag. There was a note in it, and it said, "Who was I before I was born? Who am I after I was born?" Since then, this question had been hovering in his mind for months, and he could not eat well or sleep well. Few months later, the king died. With the question still bothering him, he went to meet Patriarch Prajnatara and expressed his determination to become a Buddha. Patriarch Prajnatara said, "If you really want to become Buddha, go and build a practicing room first to show your determination." Without a word, Bodhidharma went out to try to build a practicing room. He cut branches and mixed the mud. After many tries, a thatched house finally was ready. However, At that moment, Bodhidharma suddenly realized what Pitrak Pratnatara really meant about the practicing room. He pushed the thatch house down to the ground and said to Pitrak Pratnatara, "Shifu, I'm stupid, and it took me so long to build this practicing room. It was not to build, actually, but to find. Dharma practicing is in the heart." With this understanding, Bodhidharma started to follow Pitrak Pratnatara to practice diligently and served Pitrak Pratnatara for 40 years. After Pitrak Pratnatara passed away, Bodhidharma started to demonstrate and expound Dharma and transform people in India. Later, in South India, there was a king who did not believe in Buddha Dharma. He said, "All my ancestors believed in Buddha Buddhi, and they were stuck in deviated perception. They were short in both lifespan and luck. Furthermore, if my body is Buddha, why do I need to pursue externally? Karmic retribution is pretentious and fictional. All my father's old ministers and Buddhist friends, I will abolish them all." After Bodhidharma heard this, he sighed mournfully. How to rescue him? Bodhidharma sent one of his disciples, Paloti, to persuade the king. The king asked Paloti, "Are you a good one or evil one?" Paloti answered, "I'm neither good nor evil. If your Majesty's heart is righteous, then I'm neither good nor evil." The king was angry and asked, "What is Buddha?" Paloti answered, "Seeing the nature is the Buddha." The king asked, "Can master see the self-nature?" Paloti answered, "I can see the self-nature." The king asked, "Where is the self-nature?" Paloti answered, "The self-nature is functioning." The king asked, "Where is it functioning? I do not see it." Paloti said, "It's functioning right now, your Majesty. You just cannot see it yourself." "Do I have it?" "If your Majesty functions, then you have it. If it's not functioning, then you might not be able to see your body." The king asked, "When functioning, how many places does it appear at?" Paloti said, 8 places. The king said, "What are the 8 places?" Paloti answered, "It functions as the embryo, and the embryo grows to be a body. It functions as living in the world, and so the humans have many skills. It functions as the eyes, and the eyes see. It functions as the ears, and the ears hear. It functions as the nose, and the nose smells. It functions as the mouth, and the mouth talks. It functions as the hands, and the hands hold and take. It functions as the feet, and the feet run. It appears in all the worlds as many as the sands in Ganges River, and it also appears in a small dust. People who know it say it's the Buddha nature, and people who do not know say that it's the spirit." After the king heard these words, he saw the self-nature and enlightened. He repented to Paloti. From then on, he always asked Buddhists about the Dharma essentials and cultivated the Buddha Buddhi days and night. By following Pitrak Pratnatara's words, Bodhidharma started his journey to China 67 years after Pitrak Pratnatara passed away. He was taught in the sea over 3 years and arrived at China from the South Sea. It was the 7th year of Emperor Liang Wu, and Bodhidharma was welcome to see the emperor. The emperor asked Bodhidharma. After I succeeded the throne, I built many Buddhist temples and translated many sutras, made many people to leave their families and became monks. What merits do I have? Bodhidharma said, You do not have merits. The emperor asked, Why don't I have merits? Bodhidharma answered, These are just small fruits to be humans and heavenly beings. The causal leakage, they are like the shadows. They exist, but not real. The emperor then asked, What is real merit? Bodhidharma said, Give without any attachment, no thinking of the giver, the acceptor, and the thing that is given, which is also called formless three wills. Give while not thinking about merits. The mind is pure, wise, non-discriminatory, and in a state of wonderfulness. The mind of giving rises without any attachment, and the heart resides nowhere. Only in this state of consciousness the merit obtained has no leakage and is a true merit. The emperor then asked, What is the noble first principle? Bodhidharma answered, Everything is empty, and there isn't the noble first principle. The emperor then asked, Who is this person answering my questions? Bodhidharma answered, I do not know. The emperor did not understand. Bodhidharma knew that their minds did not meet, so he left quietly and came to the north shore of the Yangtze River. Later, the emperor realized that Bodhidharma was the enlightened master. He sent people to run after him. Bodhidharma just arrived at the Yangtze River and saw the people chasing after him. He broke off a reed and threw it into the river. The reed took Bodhidharma across the river. This is the famous story of one reed across the river. After Bodhidharma crossed the Yangtze River, he traveled with a monk's cane in hand, pilgriming to the mountains and meditating in temples along the way. In the year of 527, he arrived at the Song mountain. There, the forest was thick, mountains were beautiful, the environment was serene, and the people there believed in Buddha. Bodhidharma found a cave and started to sit and meditate there. Facing the wall, he sat for 9 years without eating or sleeping. This is another famous story of Bodhidharma, facing the wall for 9 years. Everyone could guess what happened when people found this monk meditating all the time without eating or sleeping. So Bodhidharma became famous. People heard his story and came to see him, and some started to follow him. Bodhidharma became the first patriarch of Chan Buddhism in China. Bodhidharma transmitted Chan Dharma to Hui Ke. Together with Lankavatara Sutra, he said, This sutra fits with Chinese people's root. If you can practice by following this sutra, then you will get out of the world. It said that at that time there was a famous royal teacher in the palace, and his name was Buddhirusi. He was so jealous of Bodhidharma and tried to poison him several times. He sent people to put poison into Bodhidharma's meals. Bodhidharma knew it, but he still ate his meals. After he ate the meals, he would spit out a poisonous snake. Until one day, when he had already transmitted Chan Dharma to Hui Ke, he decided to enter nirvana, so he ate the last poisonous meal. After Bodhidharma died, his disciples buried him within a coffin. One day, an envoy Song Yun, who went to the western region from the northern Wei dynasty, met Patriarch Bodhidharma at Congling. He asked Bodhidharma, Master, who did you transmit the Dharma to? Patriarch Bodhidharma answered, You will know after you go back. I'm going back to India. He then took off one shoe and gave it to Song Yun and said, Go back quickly. Your king will die today. After coming back, Song Yun talked about this thing, and he did not believe that Patriarch Bodhidharma was dead already. So people opened the coffin and found that there was only one shoe left inside. Here are two very famous verses for you. In the first one, Bodhidharma came from the west without one word. All efforts came from the mind. If you want to look for Buddha Dharma on paper, then ink as much as Dongting Lake will be used up. Here's another. I came to this land to transmit Dharma and transform deluded living beings. One flower blooms and 5 petals grow and fruition will come, and there's no doubt about it. Amitabha. This is how Chan Dharma was brought into China from India. I'm honored to be here with you today. Thank you. See you next time.